What a night. Regardless of all the other fights, oh my god, those two main events might be the best coupled main events I've ever seen. One after the other. Just after the Adesanya fight, you forget that you had another one coming. Holy shit. Oh, right. I'll do a quick rundown of fights and winners, and then I'll talk about those fights. Jesus. Prelims, Botello beat Mueller with a round 3 decision. Montel Jackson beat, I can't even pronounce that name, third round decision again. Bilal Muhammad beat Curtis Millender via decision. There was a lot of decisions. Max Griffin beat Imadaev. Pantoja KO against Wilson Rice. Matt Fravella beat Jalen Turner, which was a good fight. Krylov submitted Vincent Prue. That was a really good take. I think he got him with a rear naked. Dwight Grant by decision in round 3. Khalil Roundtree fucking didn't get him out of there, but absolutely battered Eric Anders. Absolutely battered him. He's a scary, scary proposition. He ain't got many fights under him, Khalil Roundtree, but he is dangerous. And then obviously we get to the co-main event. Obviously I'm going to talk about the results and reactions, so if you don't want to know, Adesanya beats Kelvin Gastelum via decision, unanimous decision. Jesus Christ, this genuinely might be one of the best fights you'll ever see. It had everything. Coming into the fight, you had Kelvin Gastelum, who arguably deserved it a lot more than Adesanya, and you've got to feel bad for him. He nearly had Whittaker for the actual title, and then he gets Adesanya and loses. But Kelvin had fought tougher people than Adesanya. Adesanya has a massive kickboxing background. Is like 50, 60 fights, I think, something like that, before he came to the UFC. So he's seasoned. But Kelvin's beat the likes of Jacare, and it's just, he knocked out Michael Bisping, which granted Bisping shouldn't have taken the fight. So, and Kelvin's more of like a stand-up boxer. He loves the 1-2s, pulling people in and then hitting them with the quick combos. But Adesanya likes to stay on the edge a lot, so it's going to be about, can Kelvin get on the inside and hit Adesanya? And he did. In that first round, he was connecting. Both fighters looked really casual. Adesanya was making the reads, but while he was doing that, Kelvin was getting in and he was piecing him up. That chin of Adesanya is no joke. Genuinely. Was it the first round? He got I think it was the class it as a knockdown. It was close, but I think we could class it as a knockdown. And it just, a lot of short range hooks, not fully extended, just digging them up out of nowhere and getting on the inside, where obviously Adesanya is really long, so if you get on the inside, you're not really going to be able to do a lot. But then that second round, boom, down goes Gastelum, and it's like, we have a fight. From then on, it's like, holy shit, here's a fight. Because Kelvin's not just going to give it up, and Adesanya, we haven't seen his toughness, so I genuinely thought it was either going to be Israel decision or Kelvin knockout, and it could have been a Kelvin knockout so many times. He hit Adesanya so much, but Adesanya didn't even flinch. He got a couple of marks, he got a little cut on his eye, and then he got some swollen lips. I think you could do it 3-2 for the rounds, that's how I had it. Or maybe 4-1 to Adesanya, but definitely going into that 4th and 5th round. It even got, it was just so good. It was proper back and forth. Kelvin never took a step back, and when that worked for him, it was great. When it didn't work, it was to his detriment. He just constantly kept pushing forward, and when he was hurt and Adesanya had the read, it was over. It was done, because Adesanya could just keep piecing him up from the outside. Gastelum did a really good job of blocking Adesanya's kicks, coupled to the body hit, that soft body that Adesanya was talking about. Some of them hit, and they felt, but just out of nowhere. And then going into that 5th round, back and forth for the 4 rounds. Going into that 5th round, you're thinking, theoretically, 2-2, up in the air. As Daniel Cormier said, it's 2-2. Where do we go from here? Here we go. And within about a minute, 30 seconds, Gastelum pushed forward, but Adesanya just unrelenting. Dropped him about 3-4 times in that one round. Nearly got a triangle hold on him. It was just insane. Gastelum's got such a good heart and good chin. I feel if the fight had maybe another 30 seconds, it could have been stopped, because Gastelum would like stumble back to his feet and then instantly go down again. Adesanya's just so clean with his shots. Nothing looks loose. It's all pinpoint. It's like a sniper, and it was just incredible to watch, and really, really unlucky for Kelvin, but it's not a contentious decision. Like, Adesanya won the fight, which is what I always want from a decision fight. Like, if something's going to be a decision, I'd rather everyone feel the same way rather than, oh, I've given it to this guy, I've given it to this guy, and it's like, oh, man. Because then there's that looming doubt over it, but this is closure. Like, Gastelum's face was a fucking mess at the end, and it went perfectly. Like, if people were maybe slightly disappointed by the Artsman style of the Anderson Silva fight with Adesanya, then you can't hate on this fight. This is one of the best fights you'll see, not even for a title, but then the fact that it's for a title is just insane. That sets up Adesanya Whitaker, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, unbelievable fight. And then you forget that you've got Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Max Holloway for the interim lightweight champion to face Khabib in September. What? Like, just insane. So Poirier looked so up for this fight. So up for the fight. He looked in such good shape. He was taunting. He was giving it big. It was full of confidence. It was so good to see. First round, Dustin hit him with some clean hooks. I mean, throughout this fight, you can really tell the difference in power. Max has volume, and yeah, some shots will hurt you, but he's very rarely going to knock someone out at this weight class, I think, because you just saw the difference in build, and Dustin Poirier is a really good, strong lightweight. But it was always going to be difficult for Holloway this fight. But that first round, Poirier hurt him, sorry. Definitely hurt him, but Holloway just took it all. Then second round, as the fight went on, Holloway started to get into it a bit more, but Poirier's guard is so weird. He like blocks one side by holding like his ear, like that blocks a hook. That's a standard hook block. But he like meets it with his other hand and the elbow, so it's almost like he's got one going down and one going up, and Max very rarely got inside of that in the early exchanges. But then Holloway started to press it on, and even Poirier admitted after the fight, third round, when Poirier looked like he was gassing a little bit and he was up against the fence, Holloway hurt him. Holloway did hurt him. It's just the sheer volume and the cardio of Max. It's just, you can't take it for granted. Like, Poirier did such good work in the first 2 rounds, and then Holloway is just still there, still pressing forward, still going for it, still throwing. But Poirier was nowhere near exposed as Brian Ortega was. I feel like the Brian Ortega fight was good because it shows the difference of level that Max is at compared to the other featherweights, but Poirier is just such a good technical boxer. He can just rely on his boxing. He doesn't need to do striking. He doesn't need to do takedowns or wrestling. He doesn't need to do that if he doesn't want to. He can just rely on his boxing. Whereas Brian Ortega, that's not his forte, so to speak. Like, Jose Aldo has other things than boxing, so I feel like people may be expecting a bit more from Holloway this fight, may have got blinded by the Ortega fight, because Ortega was just getting pieced up that entire fight. But yeah, and then they got like end of the second round where they're doing where it's going, and then it ends, and then Poirier just stands there, hands on hips, and eyeballs Max Holloway. It's like, what? You can't. It's just I was up on my feet. I was insane. I couldn't believe that. I was just like, yes, let's go. It was just such full of confidence with Poirier. He was proper feeling it. He gassed a bit third and fourth, as I've said, but oof, God, he went in. He went in, and the Max constantly taunting him, pointing to the ground. It was just so good. Both fighters were so pumped and up for it. And then you get the fourth round, where Holloway again coming with the pressure forward, but then Dustin Poirier hits him with a couple of nice counters, and then the knee. Oh, the knee. Max ducks his head almost straight down the middle. There's no like angle to his knee. I can't remember if Poirier held him there. I think they were in a clinch, and then Poirier brings it up, but Holloway's face was bang center, and Poirier's knee met it, and just not full on, almost like a cut. It like grazed it, you know, like you get like Tony Ferguson against Pettis, where those elbows, almost like a knife, when you do them across someone, they just rip. And right next to his left eye, I think, left eye by the bridge of his nose, massive hole, massive gash on Holloway's face, just pouring blood. that was getting in his eyes. That was making it difficult for him. And Poirier sticking in with some mean jabs, with like power jabs, not just little rangefinders, proper in-your-face jabs, ones that hurt. And it was just a great fight. Afterwards, you think, oh, what they did, because the final bell goes. Even Max pointed to the middle. It was like, let's stand of man, last 10 seconds. And Poirier was like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. Both swung, and then both stared at each other when the final bell went, and then embraced. It was just, it's such a good, like, advert. It's not, the names might not pull people who are casuals, but the co-main and this main event are just such good adverts for the UFC and why it's my favourite thing to watch. It's just, you got the personalities clash, and then when you're in there, and that's it. And it's just such sportsmanlike. That's what we like to see, rather than, yes, we like the people riling each other up and the bit of added tension like Colby Covington, but there's something about this where both fighters are saying, yeah, I'm going to knock you out, and then they both go in there and try and knock each other out, and then they have respect for each other afterwards, and it's so good. So yeah, Dustin Poirier gets it done, round 5 decision, and unanimous. I believe it was 49-46, both judges. So that's definitive. Like, who's he beaten? He's beaten Gagey, Alvarez, and now blessed Holloway. Poirier's on such a tear, such a streak. He's beaten literally some of the best people, and yet somehow lost to Michael Johnson. I will never understand that. And it's all... going into this, I wanted Adesanya to win, just because I'm fully on board the hype train, but I would have felt... But I wouldn't have minded if Kelvin won, because he seems quite chill and stuff on the embedded videos, and he has beat some best people. And he's still young. He's still quite young, though, Kelvin. Adesanya's like 30 or 29, which makes no sense. He looks about 12. And then the Dustin Poirier-Holloway fight was really weird. I didn't know who I wanted to win, because I'm such a big Dustin fan, mainly after the Justin Gaethje fight, where his leg got battered and he just kept going and eventually finished Gaethje, which, as we've seen, is no fluke. And then Holloway going on a mad win streak, putting that on the line, like, yeah, I'm going to go fight Dustin Poirier. And I really wanted to see Max Holloway versus Khabib, but after this fight, I'm more excited for Dustin Poirier versus Khabib now, because Poirier's got the wrestling, and I feel like his power could just be something else. Again, the cardio seemed to let him down a little, but he kept pushing forward, he kept digging in, so that shouldn't be an issue. But it would have been nice to see Holloway versus Khabib, but maybe we will at some point. As for what's next for the co-main and the main, obviously Israel Adesanya, interim, gonna fight Robert Whittaker most likely this year. I haven't heard much on Robert Whittaker's recovery. I think it's going well after his sudden hernia ruled him out against the Kelvin fight in Australia, which, again, you've got to feel bad for Kelvin, haven't you? You've got to. Like, he was gonna fight for the main title, didn't, and now he's lost his interim chance, and he's lost a title shot, essentially. So it's a bit like, but yeah, Adesanya versus Whittaker should be an absolute war. Like, Adesanya's chin has been tested in this fight. Like, there can't be any doubts about him now. He is legit. He is the real deal. He had good wrestling takedown, and even when he got taken down, he had good thing. He did a massive pop-up when he got taken down, got his legs under Gastelum and pushed him off, and then managed to explode up, and it was just there, boom. Questions answered. He threw a massive triangle, and then he got him in a really mean guillotine. I think that was in the 4th or the 5th. And those 2 submission attempts really took it out of Gastelum, and it was just to say I could go on for ages. So yeah, Adesanya versus Whittaker. Whittaker obviously against Romero twice, been through wars, but he is very chinny and he can get wobbled. Like, Darren Brunson rocked him before he got knocked out by Whittaker. Romero obviously in the second fight. Many people argue, myself included, it should be at least a draw. It should have been at least a draw, because at least one of those rounds where Romero poured it on was a 10-8 at least. But that's neither here nor there. He wouldn't have won anyway because he missed weight, but Whittaker Adesanya, that's going to be such a good fight. Hopefully this year, and don't put it in Australia, Dana White, because Whittaker can't fight in Australia for whatever reason. I think that's 2 fights now that have dropped out because of him in Australia, but can't complain. So, and then Poirier. I mean, it has to be Khabib. It has to be. There's no other logical thing that would make sense. I think he will hold out for Khabib if the UFC try and do some weird business. There was a thing about Tony Ferguson versus Holloway, but and then rumours that Ferguson turned it down, but then Ferguson's come out and said he didn't turn it down. So I think that has something to do with maybe his ongoing issues in his personal life, with his mental health. But apparently that's on the men, so he's doing okay, which is really good to see because I really like Tony Ferguson. Which is a shame because Ferguson Holloway would have been an absolute war, but we got Poirier Holloway and that was a war. And now Poirier Khabib in September is just going to be insane. Genuinely no idea how that's going to go. How can you know? As for Holloway, I mean, most likely you can't have him another fight at lightweight because that's not fair to the featherweight division. I'd say maybe after one more fight, see what Zabit does. Then again, you've got Jose Aldo versus Volkanovski, so there's a lot of decent people coming through at featherweight. Brian Ortega won't get another shot anytime soon. I don't think. You can't. You got to be careful. You've got to balance it. But yeah, like Conor McGregor tweeted, "Oh, really great fight. Rest up, Max." And then he said, "As for you, Nate, it's Nate next, like originally scheduled." It's like be quiet, Conor. Like, be quiet. Like, who are you to matchmake people? Why would he fight Nate Diaz? He has an interim title. It makes no sense. He's fighting Khabib in September, which is when we're in April now, so that's May, June, July, August. About 4.5 months, 5 months. So that's decent time. 2 fights for Poirier in a year. That makes sense. I mean, Khabib himself said, "See you in September, Eagle versus Diamond." So I'm excited for that fight. I'm still high as fuck off these 2 fights. That Adesanya fight I'm going to watch again and again because it's just so clean and so back and forth. Like, unbelievable. What a night. What a night. The other fights were great. A lot of decisions, but a couple of knockouts and a couple of submissions. But, like, Poirier, Holloway, Adesanya, Gastelum, both of them getting fight of the night bonuses. And it's just... There can be no doubts anymore about both Poirier and Adesanya. Both of them are as legit as it comes, and the UFC is just keeps getting in a better and better place. Pay-per-views this year have been a bit meh. A couple of events have fallen through. A couple of fights have been a bit meh. Haven't lived up to the expectation. But this one is just not one of them. This is as much as you want from a fight. Back and forth, drama, stakes on the line, likeable people. It's just, this is what you want, and I could go on and get all sentimental, but this is just what a night, what an event. Nobody's come out of it looking like shit. It's just all round wins. So next is going to be Overeem versus Olenek in I think it's Czech Republic or something, which is a bit meh. But the very next pay-per-view is Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade. Oh! Thug Rose needs to be careful. Andrade will take heads off if you're not careful. She is no chill. But yeah, that's my reactions to what was a crazy pay-per-view. UFC 236. Insane. So yeah, guys, enjoy.